Hello, welcome back to Homeschool Wherever. My name is Carmen Sognonvi, and in today's video, I am going to explain what deschooling means. So this video is part of a new series I'm launching called Homeschooling 101. I don't know about you guys, but when I first started looking into homeschooling, there were so many terms that totally mystified me. Like, what is Charlotte Mason? What's unschooling? What's deschooling? What is a morning basket? I'm sure I'm not the only one that struggled with this, so I thought the series would help break down some of those commonly used terms and explain what everything actually means. If you're new to this channel, we are a multiracial secular family living in New York City, and we're trying homeschooling for the very first time this year. We have two daughters, one in 3rd grade and one in 6th grade. This channel is all about documenting our homeschooling journey, so if that sounds of interest to you, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Also, we are full-time family travel creators, so if you want to see that side of our lives, check out our travel channel at Top Flight Family. So deschooling is basically the process of transitioning from a traditional school to a homeschool. Essentially, if you're planning to homeschool your child, it's highly recommended that you first take some time off from school completely. In other words, don't finish your traditional school on Friday and start your homeschool on Monday. Both you and your child need some time to sort of deprogram yourself, if you will, from the traditional school culture and kind of wipe the slate clean a little bit so that you can start your homeschool fresh. Now, one thing that's a little bit confusing about deschooling is that it sounds very similar to another term you may have heard, which is unschooling. So just to break down the difference, deschooling is the process of transitioning from a traditional school to a homeschool. Unschooling, on the other hand, is a whole educational philosophy that's about never imposing education on a child and letting the child learn what they want to learn and when they want to learn it. Now, unschooling is obviously a whole thing unto itself, so I will be doing a new video in this series specifically about unschooling. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss that video when it comes out. So let's get back to talking about deschooling. So first of all, how long should you deschool for? Well, there are some experts who actually recommend that you deschool 1 month for every year that your child has been in a traditional school. Now, that may not be realistic for every family. I know it wasn't really realistic for our family. Our oldest daughter, Sean, spent 6 years in public school, and personally, I didn't feel very comfortable taking 6 whole months off of any kind of academics. But if that formula works for you, that's kind of a rule of thumb you can follow. Personally, for our family, we took an entire 2 months off to deschool, which perfectly lined up with July and August, which is the summer break here in the New York City public school system. So what are you supposed to do during this deschooling period? Well, the idea is to basically do nothing academic. And the reason for that is, if you jump straight from a traditional school into a homeschool, both you and your child are often going to be bringing a lot of those assumptions and routines and practices from traditional school, and you'll try to impose those on homeschool. So some parents who didn't deschool before starting homeschooling reported that their kids would push back on a lot of things and say, oh, that's not the way we do it at school. That's not the way my teacher does it. So you want some time between the end of the traditional school and the start of homeschool so that you can both let go of some of those ideas and some of those assumptions and just come at it with a blank slate and allow homeschool to be its own thing. So for our family, deschooling was really like 2 months of free time. I didn't assign any kind of academic work to my girls. I didn't even require them to read any books. I just let them do their thing. And basically having this breathing room allows kids to start exploring their interests on their own. So during this time, Ella started creating a lot of her own toys. She would create paper squishies by drawing pictures on paper. She would tape them together, put the stuffing in there, and then laminate the whole thing with packing tape. She also got really into using some of the rubber gloves that we had stocked up on because of the quarantine, filling them up with water so that they were sort of like little water balloons, but then drawing faces on so they would be little water balloon dolls. Sean, our older one, also got into the paper squishies. So she very much took a pop art approach where she would recreate pretty iconic food packaging as her paper squishies. Sean also got really into baking and cooking during this time. So without us imposing any sort of education on the girls, they were left free to really pursue their interests and develop these new skills. Now, one thing I did do as the parent was I made sure that we stocked up on supplies to kind of support the activities that they were already doing. So I made sure we had lots of paper, pencils, markers, tape, scissors. That's on the paper squishy side. And on the baking and cooking side, we actually turned one of our closets into a whole pantry and made sure that we were fully stocked up on all of the essentials that Sean would need for that, like flour, sugar, butter, all of that stuff. We also got her some new tools, like one of those spinny things that you can use to decorate a cake. So that's a great way to think about this time, is that you as the parent are really in a support role, supplying with the things that they will need to sort of pursue their interests. And use this time to observe your child. See what is their learning style, what gets them excited. You may pick up on some interesting clues that will influence the way that you set up your homeschooling. And the thing about deschooling is that parents need to deschool as well. As parents, many of us went to traditional schools and we're used to our kids going to traditional schools. So our mindset is very tied up with that's how things are done. And one mistake that a lot of new homeschooling parents make is that they try to completely replicate a traditional school in their home. And they quickly find that that just doesn't really work. And that's why deschooling is just as important for parents as it is for kids. So again, deschooling is a time to just ease up on academics. Give your kids lots of supplies so they can go crazy and be creative, but it's also a great time to do hands-on things with the kids, like taking them traveling or taking them on field trips. Use this time to have fun, relax, reconnect as a family, so that when you do start homeschool, it's going to be exciting for everybody. Another term you may have heard a lot of homeschooling families use is unit study. If you want to find out what a unit study is, go check out that video below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Homeschool Wherever. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.